Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to this week's live Wellbeing Face. My name is Simi Rayet. I work as the executive leader, principal psychologist of Wellbeing Face. I'm a business psychologist, executive leadership coach, and the purpose of Wellbeing Face is really to help and work with leaders globally to elevate their leadership impact. All of our work is underpinned by psychological science and over 20 years of commercial nous. So I'm really excited to be here again with you all. For those of you that are dialing in live, welcome. Let me know that you're here. Send a little comment or a wave in the comments box. That would be great. And those of you that are watching the replay, welcome to you as well. So we're streaming live again today on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Today's topic is a really interesting one. It's all about scale up organizations, scaling up your organization. So very relevant for entrepreneurs, founders, and also if you are a team leader looking to take your team to the next level, to grow its capability, to grow the size of your team. And we're going to be having this discussion from a mindset perspective. And I've got a fabulous guest that I'll bring onto the show very shortly. And why this topic is really, really important. The last 6 to 7 months in particular, Wellbeing Face, we're a psychology, coaching, and consulting practice. We've been working really closely with several organizations that are now moving from that survival mode of responding to the pandemic to really looking at how they can scale up their organization and foster a team environment, foster a culture of growth, of learning agility, inclusion, and productivity. And these are really key because the mindset that sits behind a smaller organization or a kind of startup organization is very different to a scaling organization. And this is what we'll be talking about today. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our guest today, John Kasher, and I'll let John come to the show and introduce himself. Hi, John. Welcome.
Hey, Simi. Thanks for having me. It's exciting and to actually talk about this topic because for me, mindset has such a role to play. In many facets, which we'll obviously cover today. But yeah, absolutely great topic. So thanks for having me.
Great to have you, John. And just to give a bit of context to why you're here today and a bit of background for our audience. So John and I have known each other for about 10 years now, John. Like how quick does time go?
Can't believe it.
Absolutely. And it's been so interesting to see John's journey because as you'll all hear, and I wanted to bring John on today's show because he's really grown from being an entrepreneur to growing his own business and brand to now the size of 20 people. But it's really been amazing to watch his internal transformation show up in the external world. And that's what I really want to share and bring to the forefront for today's conversation because it's so important because it doesn't just happen. It's a conscious effort and it's a conscious switch that needs to be turned on. And our mindset is a massive key ingredient that really is required as part of that journey. So, John, before we kind of launch in, I'd love for you just to share with our audience a little bit about you. Who are you? What have you been doing? And what drove you to do what you're doing today?
Yeah. So it's been quite a journey if you kind of reflect on it. So for people that aren't familiar with what I do from a business perspective, is I run a wealth advisory business, and I've been in the wealth game or the financial advisory game since I was about 14. So now, I'm going to give away my age, but I've been nearly 2 decades in the industry or in the profession, and that kind of growth has happened over a period of time where I find myself today. And obviously, Simi, over the last decade, you've seen some of that, internal and external growth as well too. But externally speaking, we're one of the leading practices for millennial families, really helping them kind of get from where they are now to where they want to be. But also outside of that, I do a little bit in regards to helping other entrepreneurs really kind of scale up their businesses and help them kind of break through those invisible ceilings that they kind of think that they have on top of them. So that was a journey that was from myself. I did study financial advice in uni and have got diplomas in lending and finance as well too. But I also have always had a fascination with business. So as long as I can remember, I always had this fascination with business. So my dad was involved in business. He ran a quite successful office petitioning / building business back in the 80s and 90s. And for people in Melbourne, he did the offices of the Rialto building back when it was first built. So you can kind of see the scale in which he was doing things at. So, was a part of an entrepreneurial family growing up. And, I guess these seeds and this fascination about business stemmed from there. So there was a lot of academic learning to get me where I am now, but there was also a lot of self-education and a hell of a lot of experience. And I think there was a point that I can remember where things did change for me. And it's interesting. Some people have these moments and some people don't have these moments. And what I'm talking about change for the listeners or viewers that are on here is there was two big events in my life that I can actually note and say, yep, I changed in those moments. And those moments were a lot of internal growth, which happened first and then caused external growth. And obviously from a clinical psychologist here, one was a traumatic event and the other one wasn't. And those two events were in 2017, I was invited to go to Stanford University in California and learn about strategic leadership. And when I went over there, I felt like a kid in a candy store. It felt like my whole life was like primed for me to be in that moment. Okay. Yeah. And looking back at my life, I've always I was always the person that kind of wanted to push myself. And going from this comfort zone that I've had over here for so long in Australia, and then get leapfrogged into one of the best academic kind of business schools in the world, and then be pushed in a course that was an intensive, there was one thing, it was either fail or lap it up, and I lapped it up. And a lot of the learnings I then took home, put them into myself and said, hey, John, you could really take yourself from here to here, and I felt like the elite weren't that different to where I was. And it was that self-limiting belief that I had previously was that gap was just so far, okay? Yeah. So that was one. And then the second one was an unfortunate one where I had spinal surgery. So me not looking after myself too much, I found myself I think in my late 20s, maybe 30, having spinal surgery, in a decent financial position, but my health was horrible, and the reality is it doesn't matter how much money you've got. When you're in the Epworth Hospital in rehab and you've just had your spinal surgery, money's not going to fix that. So I needed to learn how to also create a business that was scaling up, but was scaling up to still look after me, which inevitably was its greatest asset. And I had to deviate. I had to learn how to kind of scale through those. So those were two major events. There's obviously other ones that have happened, but they were really, really ones that then emphasized the point of mindset once again, playing such a big role in regards to leveling up the business.
And thanks, John, for sharing those two really significant turning points for you, because quite often that's what it does take. It takes, either a significant event to happen or something to really kind of make us think, well, what is going on here? What do I really want from this? Why am I doing this? And also it gets us to question, well, why haven't I done this already? If this is what I really want, what's holding me back? So as you say, those limiting beliefs are really, really key to unpack and uncover. So I guess from your perspective, John, you've grown your business, you're growing your team. It's a different mindset from what you had when you were a smaller team, when essentially you were setting up the business, you were doing everything yourself, you've grown it. What do you think in particular has been that mindset shift for you now that you've grown?
Yeah, so I think originally at the start, it is around putting food on the table. And it's really kind of that survival mindset around, just got to get that next client so that I get food on the table. And I started with nothing, like just so people put it in perspective, I literally started with 0 clients. I was 20 years old in a world of finance. And I remember my accountant at the time laughing at me, going, no one's going to take you seriously. And to be honest with you, that's probably the best thing he said, because he gave me fuel to the fire, put fuel on the fire. But now that I've got a team, and the team is growing, it's around me going and, in a way, kind of decomparting that guy or that kid, really, that was the octopus doing everything. And it's sometimes hard because, you know, first thing I had to learn was obviously around kind of delegating and putting trust in my teammates to be able to do the work at my standard. And you'll find that a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of business owners or even a lot of leaders sometimes struggle to let go. Okay. And so I really had to learn around letting go. And there was mistakes made and there was learnings. And not to say that I'm not learning, I'm learning more, but I'm just getting better at it. As time goes by, I'm getting better at it, and I'm breaking these other invisible ceilings along the way. But I think the other one, when it came to teams, was really kind of making sure that I'm recruiting based on a certain kind of philosophy. And my philosophies was not about trying to get someone who's as smart as me or someone who can kind of fill a certain technical role. Okay, that helps. But it was mainly going, okay, well, who am I going to trust? And the person I'm going to trust is someone who shares the same values as me. So when my recruitment changed from going from, IQ to kind of value-based recruiting, that really changed. Okay. And I was able to not only retain staff, but also put my trust and be able to delegate freely, because I knew that they would be interacting with my clients at the same level as I would be. Now, then it also comes around then trying to solve the problem of micromanaging and also trying to, be everything to everyone still. Because yes, you're delegating, but now you're still trying to potentially, micromanage. So it's then, for example, trying to do things like low value task matrix. Okay, really trying to articulate, like, to yourself, yeah. Well, what is the most high value thing that you need to do for your business and for your clients? And then, working through those things. And obviously, Simi, there's so many different things to whatever, but that John, who was 20 starting the business, was the octopus doing everything, and probably wasn't doing everything at its best because I just simply couldn't. We're now in a team. I feel like I've got a really good team who is, like, if you think about a football team or a soccer team, all of the positions are filled with absolute stars. Yeah. And I'm just the captain of the team. I'm just the captain. So I need to rely on the defense to do their job. I need to rely on the forward to do their job. And I really, now having that kind of way of thinking, has really helped. So they're probably the biggest ones and the changes that I see that really have come to mind.
Fantastic. So what I'm hearing really from you is that real shift in thinking around, I can't do everything. As a leader, I cannot do everything. If I want to really scale my business and my organization or my team, I've got to really instill a culture of trust. One, whereby you're trusting yourself and being super clear on what you can do and what you can bring. But secondly, imparting that trust in your team. And I really like what you say in terms of value-based recruitment. We refer to that in terms of, emotional intelligence. When you're getting to a certain level as a leader, the intellectual intelligence, the IQ that we all know, that we spend so much time developing in our school years, it gets you to a certain level, absolutely. But then really what differentiates you as a leader or as an entrepreneur or someone that's really going to win the hearts and minds of others is the emotional intelligence. And again, that requires a different mindset shift, because it's really about how you build those relationships, all to do with trust. And it really sounds like you've been able to identify your individual team's strengths and then work to get them energized and motivated to do the work that they can do and set them up for success. So two different kinds of
100%, Simi. And I was just going to comment one more thing as well too. And I think another gut feeling as well too is that when it comes to recruiting, there's this thing about also at one stage having to let people go. And I just want to make a comment around this that is very important. And I got told this a little bit ago. You want to hire slowly and fire quickly. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I actually one of our employees, their employment came to an end today, funnily enough, Simi. Okay. And we had to have a conversation this morning. And I'm working from home at the moment, and my wife comes in. She goes, "Oh my gosh, how did you handle that?" Yeah. And I think as you grow as a leader, you also need to appreciate that some people may not be doing a job that's suited for them. Okay. And it's therefore not giving the business what it requires. And the conversation with that individual today was not necessarily around them not having the IQ as you taught to do the job. It wasn't that. Yeah. It was the values or the EQ that has started to really come to the forefront. And we agreed that this wasn't the job for him. And it was better for him to find the job that was aligned to him, okay, as an individual, and therefore he would be able to flourish. And at the start, when I started hiring people, that process or but firing someone or sacking someone, it used to, kill me. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but it's one of those ones where if I've hired based on values, and EQ, it's usually they're exiting as well too, because they've either started to change or we may have got it wrong at the start, and that's okay. And to be honest with you, it was the most amicable kind of separation that has happened since the business, and that is just showing that we're getting better at it.
The alignment piece is really key, John, isn't it? The alignment between where you're going as an organization, who you're bringing into the organization, the alignment around values, the alignment around mindset as well. And I think the mindset piece is so key here as well, because if you are a leader that's wanting to grow and scale your team, there's got to be a mindset of growth, of transformation. And it's not that it's just going to happen once, it's continual growth, it's continual evolution. And as part of that mindset, then we're recognizing that it's going to feel uncomfortable at times. So it's really
100%.
important as well, I guess, when you're recruiting as well, then to grow your team, not just only emotional intelligence and values, but also assessing for learning agility. Like, are you going to be able to have someone, you bring them into the team, you're going to grow quickly, there's going to be areas, there's going to be times of discomfort. How quickly are they able to reflect on a situation, read it, and then recognize what's working, what's not working, and then pivot? And many organizations these days are looking to recruit based on learning agility. It's become a really key skill. So good kind of food for thought there as well. But thank you for sharing that example. And
I was going to say there was one other thing that as well too that I got told, which was an absolute nugget for people that are actual golden nugget for people that are growing as well too, is around that every single person in your business should believe in the vision of the business. And you as that entrepreneur, or you as that head or that captain or whatever you want to kind of call yourself, you need to be reminding everyone about your vision. Yourself first and foremost about what your vision is, then the team you work with, the managers, the leaders, the literally from the in our line of work, the kind of the admin staff, everyone needs to live and breathe the vision. And then also remember that your clients, your patients, whatever line of work you're in, your customers need to also know your vision. And if you want to know how serious this is, just go have a look at someone like Steve Jobs, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And I reckon that most people could know what Apple's vision is. And that is the power of vision. It needs to be there to allow you to scale, and for the whole cohort of everyone inside or outside of your organization to move up and scale up together based on that vision of where it needs to go.
Massively. And I think building on with that, John, it's really important not only just to know the vision and communicate it and have everybody bought into it, but the dots have got to be connected. So from anyone in the organization, from, the cleaner, the receptionist, all the way through to the board level, need to know how their contribution connects to the vision. When we
Bingo.
get that connection right, you've got everyone singing off the same hymn sheet. I remember this example of a senior leader, and he was working late one evening in his boardroom. Cleaner comes in, and he starts talking to the cleaner. And he said, "You know what? You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Because I just want you to know that this boardroom that you clean every day is where the most important decisions get made in the business. I really want to acknowledge that you make this such a pleasant place for those decisions, important decisions to be made." And that person, that cleaner, imagine how that person felt.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. And that's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. The vision and the contribution to that vision is amazing. And sometimes it's hard, let's be honest. You get into the daily grind and sometimes you forget that vision, but always remind yourself it's a very, very important one, and it will continue to help scale up.
Massively. And I think part of the whole mindset piece, if you are clear on your vision, when there's hurdles, there's challenges, as we know, there's always hurdles, there's always challenges. It's never a straight run. That's what makes it a lot more exciting, though, as well. Obviously, stressful at times. But if you're clear on your vision, you've got your North Star, you're clear on your purpose, your why, it absolutely helps you sustain the mindset that's required to keep powering on. So, John, I'd like to hear from you then in terms of mindset. What are kind of 3 key tips or things that you really focus on to sustain the right mindset for you to continue to scale your business?
Yeah, I first and foremost is I think I've got a humble mindset, and what I mean by that is I always think that there's always areas for me to be able to grow and learn. Okay, I don't know everything, and I always try and make myself better. So I think first and foremost, it's to be a humble leader, okay, and to appreciate that you're always growing. Okay, and if you do that, that then flows on to actionable items like self-education, self-development, continuing to upskill in certain ways. Listen to people inside your industry, listen to people outside your industry. So I think the first one is to appreciate, who you are and that you will always grow. Okay. I think the second one as well too is probably a big tip that I see is more of a problem area that I see with entrepreneurs is actually around belief. Okay. And I think the other one as well too is first and foremost, you need to believe in what you're actually doing and what you can actually do. Okay. Um, I believe in what our organization does, and I believe that we change people's financial futures. And not only do we believe it, we then go and do it, which then enhances our belief that we can continue to, do what we want to do for our clients and help them achieve their goals and aspirations. So I think belief needs to be there, and it's a harsh reality. But if you don't believe in what you do and you don't think that your product or solution can actually, it's probably better that you look to do something else. So that belief, because that belief brings that passion, it brings that dedication. When things aren't going, as good as they should be, that belief will pick you up. No, I'm changing lives. I'm doing something. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years, and you ask my wife, I bounce out of bed to jump on and see clients and do what I want to do. Like, that's coming because I actually believe we change people's lives. And obviously, after this so long now, it's not just like as in a belief and maybe it will happen. This is actually, it actually happens. So I think there's around humbleness, belief, and I think the third one that probably comes to mind as well too. Maybe I'm a little bit biased in regards to this, but there's also a money thing when it comes to business. And I know this is a little bit left field of mindset, but I think there is a correlation between the two. People need to understand that if they are in business, they are there to make a profit and make money. Okay. Now, people don't talk about this unless you're in a non-for-profit organization, but even they need, internal profits to kind of utilize those elsewhere. I think businesses also need to be or business owners need to be very, very conscious of their mindset with their business. Okay. And I find a lot of business owners, they keep on making these kind of big cash eating monsters. And what I mean by that is if a business is failing, you constantly hear them say, reinvest back into the business, reinvest for them back into the business. And they forget that this is the business that's trying to make them a profit. So I think they also need to have a mindset of having a good, healthy, profitable business and sustaining that in the long term so that their business continues. Because we know many businesses that fail, because they forget to have that profitable mindset. And it's a bit of a taboo. People don't like talking about it, but the reality is every business that's out there is there to make a profit, and you need to have the mindset to keep it that way.
Absolutely. And, I think building on from that as well, John, it's so important to recognize that, yes, it's about making a profit. It's about having delivering a purpose. And that purpose can be in many ways, even if it is for, providing social good. You can do both. There is a balance you can strike between both in terms of achieving profits and delivering social good. I think you really raised a good point. Go on, John.
I was just going to say you're bang on. Most people who are in profitable businesses don't think that they are doing something that's untoward or wrong. They're in profitable businesses, and that means they're healthy and they can continue to either serve or provide that good to the customers who require it. So it's just a mindset. It's more of like this kind of this mindset that people have that I commonly see, and it's just to work on it.
Absolutely. You really raise a good point around what in psychology we call the term self-efficacy, the belief in yourself. You've got to have this internal belief, one, that you can do it, but we can also develop self-efficacy. So at Wellbeing Face, we use an acronym to really help leaders and entrepreneurs develop this winning mindset. And the acronym that we use is called MINDS. So just briefly, I'll share it with you. The M is for maneuver. So it's really about being able to navigate, is what I talked about earlier, the learning agility, navigate and adapt and pivot your surroundings, your environment, and adapt to it, respond quickly. The I is for intrinsic self-belief. So it's the self-efficacy, that real belief of, I've got the capability to do this, I will do it. And we've got to start with that intrinsic belief. And a lot of the times, we have self-limiting beliefs that need to be worked on, deconstructed with more healthier, constructive beliefs that's going to really help you shift into that very powerful mindset when you're scaling up. The N then is for North Star. So we've talked a lot about the vision today. So that why, that purpose, and having a clear vision is really important. The D is for drive. So this is the drive and determination, the energy required, because as we know, this is not a quick game. It's not a quick fix. It is, we're in it for the long haul, and it's going to require that grit, that energy. And then finally, the S is for solutions. So if you've got someone who's really kind of optimistic that whatever situation they face, any challenge, there's always a solution to be found, that's absolutely going to help you attain and maintain a winning mindset. There's a lot of psychological research that underpins our framework around the mind's winning mindset. So you're most welcome to get back in touch with myself, and we can share the research that really underpins that framework. So John, I just want to quickly acknowledge our audience as well. So we've got Vino that's joined. Welcome, Vino. It's great to have you back. Sharon, really pleased that you can join as well. Jagtam, so glad that you've joined and you've shared that, having the vision and sharing the vision is absolutely critical. John and I would really echo that. We can't echo it strong enough. And, I guess it's really recognizing that we all have an opportunity to develop our mindset. It's something that can be worked on daily, And the more that we can work on it daily, the more we can strengthen the muscle of the mind. It's just like any other muscle in our body. If we don't use it, it's going to get weak. And I also like to use the analogy that our mind is just like a tree. And you're thinking, how? The branches are exactly where the branches diverge and converge, are very much like our brain, in terms of there's always opportunity for growth, for redirection, and also the opportunity to learn new ways as well. So it's been great to have you on today's show, John. Mindset is something we can keep talking about. I love your fascination with the psychological science behind mindset, and that's where you and I have been having some really interesting ongoing conversations. Is there anything you'd like to share about your practice, John? Anything in terms of how people can get in contact with you and stay in touch as well?
Yeah, beautiful. Well, first and foremost, to all of the people that have jumped on, thank you very much for hearing my story and my two bob around scaling up mindset. My fascination in regards to the mind has been as well there for a long, long time. And obviously, Simi, having someone like you that, I've leaned towards, both from a business perspective and actually from a wealth one as well too. There's so much that the mindset plays with when it comes to wealth creation as well, and we've been tapping into the kind of neuroscience that's behind that, in regards to how we can help our clients to utilize techniques to enable them to help grow their wealth, but also when it comes to their business, it just coincides as well too in regards to a lot of the different similar techniques as well too that can be used across both of them. But in regards to the business, you're probably hearing that it's more than just money management, that it's more than just that. There's a lot of behavioral coaching and there's a lot of psychology behind this stuff. But if people want to reach out, probably best one, if you're on LinkedIn, just hit me up on LinkedIn. It's just John Casher. There's not many of us. I think there's a treasurer or someone, a politician in Malta. Besides that, there's not many John Cashers around. So just hit me up on LinkedIn. On Instagram, I'm fairly active as well, which is just the handle the John Casher, and my surname is spelled Cachia, just for everyone to know. But yeah, that's I probably think the best way to kind of reach us. Or if you wanted to kind of jump onto the business website, it's www.afagroupwealth.com.au. And you'll obviously see what the business is all about, and we can go from there. But to all the listeners and viewers, if you want to kind of reach out to me, just DM me on the socials, and I'm happy to have a chat. But today's really, if I've done a small contribution to help someone break their, some of those mental barriers or some of those invisible ceilings, that would mean the absolute world to me. So if you've had any quick wins after this, or you felt it valuable to you, please, I'd love to hear those as well.
Fantastic, John. It's really great to have you here and really hear your story. It's a magnificent story. And, just to see your continual growth, it's going to be incredible. So for those of you that have joined, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure. I can't believe how quickly the week goes and we're back on a Friday. I absolutely love this time of the week. It's one of my big highlights. It's great to be back with you all. Next week, just to give you a heads up, we're going to be looking at a topic all around mindset again. But if you're a manager, leader, business owner, entrepreneur, I want to share with you some real insights around 6 ways in which your mind can lie to you. And it's a really great topic because the more that we can understand this, we can really then look at how we can put in place some real good psychological science hacks, tricks and techniques to really help you remain focused and show up in the best way that you can as a leader, entrepreneur, business owner. So tune into next week's show. It'll be another great one. John, many thanks. Absolutely fabulous to have you here. I'm looking forward to catching up with you later, and take care for now.
Thanks, Simi. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.